Want help to grow your business? Download BRiN, the world's first business advisor in your pocket. To find out more, visit BRiN.ai or search the App Store today.
Hi, I'm Andy and this is my wife, Ange, and
Hi.
Welcome to the Tradie Show. Today we're going to talk about the Tradie's Guide to Understanding Your Numbers.
Yes. Understanding your numbers.
It's massive.
Big one.
We're really surprised at how many tradies don't actually know their numbers, don't actually know anything about their numbers.
Yeah, it's true. Lots of decisions are pretty much based with regards to this subject, hey?
Not around numbers, that's for sure.
I know. So here's the thing that we know is not understanding your numbers is like food in a sense. That imagine you had this apple and this custard tart, right? And you knew absolutely nothing about food, yet you just knew that the custard tart tasted awesome, you know? So what do? You keep eating these custard bun. That's probably what it looks like, eh?
I've
It looks
eaten
like
a
more
few.
like a custard bun. Yeah. So hopefully not at breakfast. So that's the problem, because if you just kept making decisions based on what you know it tasted like, because you just like the taste of the custard buns, think about what it does from your health perspective, because health and vitality is obviously critically important. Stick with me here, okay, because there really is a reason. So if you kept eating the buns, what actually happens to you? What happens to your body when you keep eating custard buns?
Well, you're probably putting on a bit of weight and you're putting a bit more stress on your heart maybe, or your arteries, and obviously, yeah.
That's right. So because you don't have the knowledge necessarily about what food choices you should make to look after yourself now and well into the future, it's having really detrimental effects on your body, right? So like you've just said, it makes you put on weight, it puts on lots of stress on your body, lots of stress on your heart and your arteries.
Strain on the body.
Yeah. And so that's why you need the knowledge. That's why you need to be empowered to actually kind of make those decisions so that you don't keep eating custard buns.
Yes.
Right? So here's the point. Put that now into a financial sense and think about that in light of your business. So it's really a situation of you don't know what you don't know. So
you're sort of saying that, like the custard tart to the apple, if you actually know your numbers, then you're not going to have, like, business is the same as this. So if you actually know your numbers, you don't have that strain. You don't sort of put the weight on. Your business doesn't have the pressures as much because you know what you're doing.
yeah, you're actually going to make wiser decisions.
Yep.
So if you actually understood way more about your business financially and you actually understood what your numbers meant, then when you're left with this decision about choosing the apple or the custard bun, you're going to choose the apple because you know that it's healthier for you in the long term. So it's all about the knowledge that you have with regards to your business and looking after that health of your business, because that's what's absolutely critical, is maintaining the health and vitality of your business, and you do that through understanding your numbers. So that's why this is a really important conversation.
So like your body, you're trying to make sure that you're looking after your body and your heart. And what you're saying is, in a business sense, you're trying to look at the heart of the business to make sure everything's being pumped around correctly, to make sure you're right on, you know exactly what is happening in your business in a moment's notice.
That's exactly right, because finance and money, cash flow, is literally, imagine that as the blood getting pumped around your business or getting pumped around your body. It's the perfect analogy to help you understand how important and vital finance is, and understanding your numbers and understanding all the data and financial information about your business, because it absolutely is the heart and soul of your business.
We've got to stop talking about custard tarts and getting
I know.
hungry.
Let's not have a custard tart. So the critical thing here is all about decision making. So how can you, whenever we talk to any trade business owners, the conversation often goes, when I think about the future of my business, I either want to scale the business, grow the business, or I want to potentially sell the business one day, or I really just want to have the freedom to choose. I really just want to either work on my business or take 3 or 4 weeks off and still earn money whilst I'm away. So the conversation often is the same, isn't it? Don't you reckon?
Well, I think a lot of tradies sort of have a guide to where they want to go. Some people have done the planning, but a lot of them have a guide of where they want their business to go. But they don't seem to know their numbers to get there.
That's right. So the problem is they're making really big decisions, really huge decisions based on complete fluff. So
Yes.
as an example, why would you go out and buy a piece of equipment that, say, costs 20, 50 grand on a whim, just to say,
Yeah.
I know I need it, I'm just going to go buy it?
I think what you're saying here is that most tradies are good with their hands. They're
Yes.
not, and they're not necessarily the best business owners, but they don't know their numbers, and they're making decisions on
Fluff.
what maybe is in their bank account, which isn't the real figures.
Yes.
And not realising they owe their tax and they've got wages and they've got holiday pay and all this kind of stuff. And they're looking and they're going, well, I've got money there and I want to buy expensive equipment. There's money in the bank. I want
Yes.
expensive equipment. Let's just do it.
Just go do it.
And then they're getting themselves in trouble.
Yes, and this is the problem. Then they end up getting in trouble.
Very common.
Yes, very, very common. So no business decisions can be based on fluff. They absolutely need to be based on cold, hard fact. Really, really critical. And that's something that all trade business owners needs to take on board. I think they forget, unfortunately, all tradies we find are somewhat the same, that they're, as Andy said, they're so good with their hands and they're so good working on the tools that they just think that that's their responsibility, is to look after the customers and do the work. And they actually forget about the fact that how business operates and how to actually have a successful business. And it really, the first thing, the most critical thing is this, it's actually understanding your money.
Actually, that's interesting. I was at the airport probably a few months back now, and believe it or not, I wasn't eating a custard tart, but I was drinking a beer at the bar, and I had a couple of guys approach me, and I'd met them a few years earlier.
Right.
And they owned an electrical business, and they were pretty successful. You know, they were doing really well. And they said, listen, Andy, have you got a chance just to have a quick 15-minute chat? We're looking at taking our business to a whole nother level where we've already bought another truck interstate. We're looking at starting a new business in this state. And we really want to know how you employ staff.
Right.
And how you train them and look after the staff, especially when it's going to be in a different state to where they live. And I said to them, can I ask you a question first? And they went, yeah. And I said, well, do you have a good accountant? And they both looked at me and said, not sure. And I said, what do you mean not sure? I said, well, are you happy with your accountant or not? And they said, no, not really. I went, oh, okay. So that's really interesting. I went, when's the last time you've looked at your profit and loss? And it was like 6 months ago.
Ouch.
When was the last time you looked at your balance sheet? When was the last, do you know your break even? Do you forward forecast? I mean, these are things I know we're going to talk a bit more about today. And it was no, no, and no. And I was astounded that this company was going interstate and didn't know their numbers whatsoever. And the guy goes, oh, but we've looked at our bank account and it looks like we're doing really well. And this is really what we're talking about.
Yes.
And they said, so what do you think we should do? And I said, my first advice is get a good accountant and obviously know your numbers and P&L, forward forecast, break even. They really needed to know before they even contemplated looking at taking their business to another state.
Yeah.
So why is that? Why do us tradies make these decisions without even
On a
knowing
whim.
our numbers?
Yeah.
And we want massive growth in our business. And I believe you can't have growth you can have big growth in your business, but you can also, you know, the bigger they are, the harder they fall, unless you know your numbers.
Correct. That's right. Good conversation. So you mentioned an accountant. So let's talk about that, because as you just said, with these guys that you ran into when they were talking about growth and wanting to scale their business, and they were literally making these decisions on a whim, as you just said, they didn't understand their finances. And the first thing you said to them is, do you have a good accountant? How important is it to have a good accountant?
Yeah, it's one of those things that I think all business owners, it doesn't matter if you're a tradie or own a trade business or not, but all business owners need a good accountant. Mate, and you really, if you can, find an accountant that specialises in your niche.
Yes.
Find someone that really understands us as tradesmen, you know, because they're the guys that you're going to get the best information from. They're dealing with other businesses. They're doing it on a daily, weekly, monthly, yearly basis. So they've got all the tips and tricks that can really help you. And I'm just astounded that how many people don't have a great accountant. And I was in a room the other day, and there was around about 100 tradies in there, and I asked everyone, who is happy with their accountant? Like, I'm not talking, yeah, they're okay. Like, who is truly believes their accountant is a gun?
Right, has their interests at heart.
And out of 100 tradies, 100 trade business owners, about 5 people put up their hands.
That's really
now,
scary.
That is really scary. And the other question is, if only 5 people, 5 tradies, have a good accountant out of 100, well, how does that look all around the world?
Yes.
You know, how do we look? How does us tradies, why is that the case? If you look at businesses that grow and businesses that collapse, there's a really good statistic. I don't know it right now, but there's a good statistic that if you have the right accountant that's not just waiting to the end of the year and you just throw them some figures and take a big shoebox in of receipts and go fix this crap up.
Yep.
You know, you really need to have an accountant that you're seeing. I talk to my accountant roughly every 2 weeks, and I'll have a meeting with them every 2 months in their office for 2 to 3 hours. So it's really important to have a great accountant.
When you consider it's a respect thing, right? Like, you really want to have someone involved as an accountant who actually treats your business like their own. So they really have your interests at heart. So instead of just being someone that's going to talk reports with you and talk, you know, here's what's happened in your business, Andy. It's have you thought about this? Or what's happening with the future of your business, Andy? Or what's happening with, you know, if someone who's actually asking you really good questions, because that's the problem that we as trade business owners often find is we actually don't even know what questions to even ask.
Yeah.
So, you know, it's a good thing to ask yourself is the accountant that you have right now, do they have your back? Do they have your business at heart? Do they really look out for you? Or is it someone that you've just ended up with by chance that, you know, maybe you've started working with this accountant because your mate down the road did. And in a sense, they really just you pay really good money for these people and they literally just provide you a report and you really trust them.
Yeah, I think a lot of people, when they get their accountant or they have an accountant, they just sort of fall into a path of there's someone down the road or a mate's using them and whatever. But really, it's like hiring staff. You should actually go and see 5 of the top accountants and you should actually do an interview to interview them to see if they're going to be the right fit for you. I think an interesting thing is a lot of people look at things in business. Like a tradie can go out and spend 15, 20, 50 grand on machinery, no problems at all. Sure. They can waste money on this and they can waste money on that. But when it comes to the accountant, which is the most critical part of your business, is knowing your numbers, they get a bit tight-ass on it. And they're not spending the money on someone decent. And you want an accountant that's looking at your figures, if not weekly, well, obviously weekly or monthly, but they're actually getting on the phone and ringing you when they see something that's wrong. And that's what my accountant or our accountant does.
Yes.
And you need to pay for that. But, you know, that is worth every cent because if you're not got someone that's all over these things, they specialise in it, like us, we specialise in our trades, then pay the money. You know, we look at tradies and we go, well, don't get the Billy Bumcrack tight-ass tradie down the road. He's not great.
Yes.
Get the guy that's really professional and he charges more money, but you're getting the right job. And that's the same with accounting. Yeah,
absolutely. It's really, really important. And then whilst you actually have that accountant, you need to ensure that they're actually using the same platform as you. So the thing that's really critical here is ensuring that you've actually moved to a cloud accounting platform because the coolest thing about that is gone are the days where you're locked in at your office to access all of your accounts that you end up downloading all these files and walking a CD or sending it in the mail to your accountant. Like, gone are those days. The cool thing about a cloud accounting now is the fact that it doesn't matter where you are around the world, both you and your bookkeeper and your accountant can be, 3 different locations and you can all actually get online and actually have a look at the same report at exactly the same time.
You could talk about the future.
To continue enjoying this presentation, download BRiN, the world's first business advisor in your pocket. To find out more, visit BRiN.ai or search the App Store today.